Welcome to this module on the new Minnesota 2022 mathematics standards. While it does seem a bit odd to be calling 2022 the future, you should be aware that 2022 is when the Standards Committee of Teachers completed their work in writing these. That began then the legal process of rulemaking, and in just April of 2025, the rulemaking process was completed, and these standards are now fully official for implementation, which must be fully implemented in the 2027-28 school year. So the first administration of MCA4s assessing these new standards will actually take place in spring of 2028. You are here because we need to start writing new items for the MCA4 to be ready for that year 2028. There are 7 anchor standards that mostly progress through all of the grades, with very few exceptions. The first anchor standard is on data sciences. The second, chance and uncertainty. The third, measurement. Anchor standard 4 is geometry. 5 is number relationships. 6, equivalence and relational thinking. And 7, patterns and relationships. So the architecture of the 2022 math standards, all of them have a 4-number code. The first number is the grade level. Now, then there are 3 strands that run from kindergarten all the way through high school. Now, these strands are data and probability, spatial reasoning, and patterns and relationships. This 1, 2, and 3 strands is then the second number in the code. Then the third number in the code are our 7 anchor standards that we just talked about. And that's shown there. In this case, it would be the 7 patterns and relationships. And finally, the last number is one of the 373 grade level benchmarks. You can see how they're divided up amongst the anchor standards. If you don't already have a copy of these standards, we'll have you download a copy of them either in Excel spreadsheet format or a PDF right after this video. You can see that this is one of the pages from grade 6. And the anchor standard there is shown there, and you can see that this is all about spatial reasoning. And then the anchor standards, both measurement are the first 2 listed, and then geometry the second 2. And you can see then the code that's going from spatial reasoning anchor standard 3 to spatial reasoning anchor standard 4. And then the benchmarks are listed there on the far right side, the descriptions. You'll also notice some other codes at the end of the benchmarks. I'll address those in just a moment. Now, these 3 strands will represent the 3 reporting categories in the future MCA4s. So students and teachers and the public will have all reports on these 3 major strands. I mentioned that most of these anchor standards spanned all of K-12, with very few exceptions. The only one is anchor standard 2 is not showing up in kindergarten and 8th grade, but all of the rest are there. And you can see how that contrasts with the top 2007 math progressions, where it was broken up a little bit more within other grades. The benchmarks also have dimensions. Those were the codes at the very ends of the benchmarks, the MP numbers or symbols. The MP numbers are dimension 1, standing for one of the 8 math practices. And some benchmarks have more than one listed. These are locations within a benchmark where certain math practices could be emphasized. Not that the other practices couldn't as well. They could all probably be emphasized in various benchmarks. Dimension 2 refers to various contexts. On the right side here, you can see the contextual symbols that are showing up then in the benchmarks. Real world context, Minnesota tribal nations, financial literacy, computer science, and modeling. This doesn't mean that if a context symbol is not shown, it couldn't show up. It's just places, again, where we encourage emphasis of those contexts. It is also then where we're having our new items for MCA4 written, not that they would only have those contexts, but it might be places where we would emphasize those. There is only one graphic in the new standards, and it is this 3-legged stool. It's about mathematical rigor. What is mathematical rigor? We want this to emphasize that we want equal intensity on conceptual understanding, procedural skill and fluency, and applications. Now that you've watched this video, next you'll want to download a copy of the standards in one of the formats. And then in addition, we have 5 other videos within this module for you to watch that emphasize certain aspects as we've gone through and developed some items that we have some specific things that have come up that we want to emphasize with you or we have questions for you about. Thank you for watching. If you have questions, again, please post them at the forum at the end of this module or email mde.panels@state.mn.us.